On June 18th, 2018, the wrestling world lost a true legend, the greatest big man to ever lace up a pair, as Big Van Vader unfortunately passed away after a year-long battle with cancer. It is with a heavy heart, but a fond perspective of legends past, that today on Hibiki Honors we present our tribute to Big Van Vader, the greatest big man of all time. After getting his start in football, Vader eventually made his way to the NFL, playing for the LA Rams and even appeared in a Super Bowl. After a couple of seasons, Vader eventually ruptured his patella and was forced to retire from professional football. This didn't stray him, however. He knew he wanted to do something, and something was the name of Brad Rheingans. After consistently working out in the same gym in the Minnesota area, Brad Rheingans, an AWA wrestler at the time and former Olympic competitor, noticed Vader in a gym, approached him, and convinced him to eventually enter the world of pro wrestling. Debuting as Baby Bull Leon White, Vader tore his way through the ranks in the AWA. Facing Bruiser Brody, Stan Hansen, it seemed like the sky was the limit for Vader. Eventually making his way over to Japan initially in All Japan Pro Wrestling, his contract was moved over from then-owner Giant Baba to transition to a New Japan contract. While in New Japan Pro Wrestling, Vader's foundation was set in legendary status already, officially being renamed Big Van Vader. In his time there, he went on to hold numerous titles, legendary feuds against the likes of Riki Choshu, Antonio Inoki, Stan Hansen, among many others. Without a doubt, Vader's biggest accolade in his time in Japan was being the first ever Gaijin, non-Japanese wrestler, to hold the IWGP Heavyweight title when he defended Shinya Hashimoto after an 8-man tournament. It was also around this time Vader had that legendary match with Stan Hansen where Vader's eye was literally ripped out of his socket. He also signed with WCW officially in 1990. However, due to his contractual stipulations in Japan, was only used sparingly up until about 92 when he finally captured the WCW World Heavyweight Championship in a classic against Sting. Without going into too much more detail of his dominance in WCW, I think it's a pretty fair assessment and safe to say that WCW always booked Vader way more serious than WWF ever did. When he signed with the World Wrestling Federation in 1996, it was huge. It was so many dream matchups finally getting to see. The Undertaker versus Vader, Brett versus Taker. At first, Vader's first couple of months in the company with Jim Cornette seemed promising. It seemed like the Rocket was strapped to his back to eventually take the title and be that new face, the best big man in the WWF at the time, but unfortunately hit the roadblock named Shawn Michaels. After being announced to headline WWF's second biggest show of the year, SummerSlam 96, against then-champion Shawn Michaels for the belt, it seemed like Vader's little bit of time in the company, he was already a made man. Unfortunately, due to politics, Shawn Michaels' attitude, and just the match in general, a lot of factors played into Vader not getting the push after this and slowly declining down the card. He'd pretty much flounder around in the company for most of his time there. Eventual feud with Kane seemed like something, but really, before he got his pink slip, he was feuding with the likes of Farouk and Too Cold Scorpio, so what can you say? Hindsight being 2020 now, they should have totally pushed Vader at the top. Hell, why not? When you're spending times with guys like JBL, Jinder Mahal in a repackaged scenario, when it's not needed and right in front of your face, why do you bring him in the first place? I know Vader was his own worst enemy some of the times with weight loss issues and other political backstage scuffles, but at the end of the day, he was too good to ignore. Kind of what Kenny Omega is now, a New Japan Gaijin star that the WWE is acknowledging already while the guy isn't even signed, and possible to ignore, improbable to compare to. Big Van Vader, rest in peace. Truly, once again, the greatest big man of all time. And on a personal note, really honored I got to call his very last match. Until next time, Hibiki Honors.